What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin, John.
And we have yet another album review for you, and I guess kind of continuing on with the theme of old school bands putting out new music. One that we definitely did not want to miss was the latest offering from Overkill with their new album, Scorched. Also came out on the 14th of April on Nuclear Blast Records. This band formed in 1980 in, I guess, technically New York City and Old Bridge Township, New Jersey. Holy shit. This is their 20th fucking album.
2-0.
There is possibly no harder working band in thrash metal than Overkill. They don't take fucking breaks to do shit. Fuck. Blitz had a fucking stroke on stage like a decade ago and still, managed to just recover. It's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go right back on the road. Like, are you fucking mad? Are you insane? I mean, I'm okay with it, I guess.
I mean, if you got it, you got it. If this is what you want to do with your life, what's to say a stroke is going to slow you down?
I mean, it's that blue-collar fucking ethic that this band has that will always sort of command respect for me. But also, I'm a fan. I've been a fan since I was in high school. I picked up The Killing Kind, which, not their best album, but that kind of got the ball rolling and got me into their earlier stuff. And this band just is one of those thrash bands that is sort of like the definition of consistency. Most people talk about their discography very highly, even when they teetered into groove metal sort of stuff with like W.F.O. and I Hear Black, which was one of the few albums that didn't feature the color green. Kind of an odd thing, because this band loves green like Typo Negative love green.
I mean, green's a great color.
It's a great color. But they maintained their sort of tenacity, their fucking, pretty much just belligerent fuck you attitude, and 20 albums in, and guess what? It's still 100% there. This is an Overkill album. I mean, that is like the short form of it. We're definitely going to get into more about it, but This is an Overkill album. It is packed with punky thrash, bits of groove, some bluesy swagger here and there, but I mean, overall, the tenacious spirit of Overkill remains fully intact, fully enraged, fully willing to throw a bar stool or a beer bottle at your head. It's Overkill.
Yeah, very fun, very engaging listen. I mean, you could tell 100% throughout this record that they were having fun while they were playing it. You could just see, everyone's smiley faces in the studio, just like, yeah, throw that table, woo!
It's, pretty much exactly what I expected from Overkill. I mean, granted, I would say after the album Ironbound, they've kind of hit like the stride where every album after that has sounded kind of similar, but it's a good kind of similar. Like I brought up, like, going to your favorite burger joint and ordering the same burger you always get, and guess what? Is it always delicious? More than fucking likely.
Les Claypool said it best. Damn, that's a tasty burger.
It is. And once again, Overkill has served that burger, and this burger is full of riffs and fucking wild drumming courtesy of Jason Bittner, who I think has definitely injected a little bit more energy into the band, as if they really needed it. But he's there delivering just awesome, just badass drum work. Like, flat out. It's fun, it's loose, there's clever fills over the place.
It's a good example of what should be done in a thrash band who are aging and releasing records. Looking at you, Metallica.
Mars, goddammit.
Bittner is the perfect drummer for this. I mean, he's always been a good solid pocket drummer anyway. Look at his work in Shadows Fall, which I thought was pretty top notch for what it was.
Oh yeah.
And this, I think, is just a great fucking home for him.
Yeah, he's been doing great with this band since he joined, and he's been there a little while now. But yeah, this album kind of kicks off in ferocious fashion with the title track, right into D beats, thrashy riffs. Dave Linsk delivers absolutely killer riff work and lead work all over here. There's great groovy pockets. And I would say the first 4 tracks in here really kind of just open up this album in ferocious fashion. Like, you get all the old school love of Overkill on here. It's very thrashy. Again, that sort of punk snide attitude. Yeah. And a lot of that is due to Blitz's delivery, which remarkably has not changed over the years. He's 63 years old, and he sounds just about the same as he did when Overkill started, and he's been there since the beginning.
When he was 23.
Yeah, that's just absolutely insane, but he has this unique delivery, kind of like, Zetro Suso of Exodus, which I'm still kind of on the fence. Like, there are some times where Blitz sounds absolutely great. And then there's other times like, that's just, I don't know about that. Like, you sound like a drunk gremlin, like trying to pick a fight with everyone in the bar. But at the same time, he's one of those guys where I can't see another singer stepping in with Overkill. He's literally the perfect guy for it because Overkill is all about attitude and aggression. And regardless of them being in their 60s or 50s, it's still the thing that really draws me to him. Like, that's the thing I always come back to. And I mean, it wouldn't be unrealistic to think that after 20 albums in, you lose some steam, you lose some aggression, you lose a bit of energy. They've been doing this shit for years, and I mean, honestly, they've pretty much been either in a studio or on a tour bus or on a stage their entire career. Like, this band rarely takes breaks. In fact, the second track on here called Going Home is like, what home?
Yep,
you guys don't go home.
Nope.
You go back to the studio or back on the tour bus or back on stage.
Yep.
And that is about it. You might take a nap in between. I totally get that. You need to rest. But home? Where is that?
It's just like the song won't be coming back. Yes, they will.
Yeah, you will.
Yep.
Are you kidding?
Where else are you going to go?
Yeah. This is what you do, Overkill, and we fucking love it. We love the fact that, they're still around doing it, but it's the fact that they're still doing it well. Like, this doesn't feel really dialed in at all. This feels, still loose and still fun. Like, when you get down to tracks like Twist of the Wick,
that song whoops ass.
Exactly what I was about to say right there. It's just a fucking vicious, thrashy barn burner, packed with some of the catchiest riffs on the album. But not only do I like it for, like, the just flat-out thrashy fucking attitude on that song, there's some really clever writing on there. I like the cool descending chorus, and it kind of goes back to those verses where it's just peaked aggression again. But you have this really cool bridge with, like, these ominous chants on it.
Yeah, like a chanted choir, and then it has like a Doomy section in it too, to also play with that dark feeling that's happening.
And it transitions super well out of that into the lead break again, kind of picking it up. And that's sort of the thing with this band. Like, they just know what they're doing. Like, they have a particular sound. It really hasn't changed all that much over the years, but they do it really well. And it's a smooth listen. There aren't a lot of, like, knee-jerk transitions. No. A lot of this just kind of flows one song into the next song, and you might get a slightly different version of violence on it. Like, sometimes you get a little bit of a bluesy swagger on some of these songs, or like a little bit of a doomy note, lots of Sabbathy worship, but most of the time you're gonna get fucking thrash metal.
Pretty much all killer, no filler. There's not a lot of lead-ins except for Fever. Has a really somber kind of haunting melody, dark opener, like you get isolated guitar, and then there's some hand drums and some like wind chimes and
cleaner vocals from Blitz. And those are things he does every now and then, but most of the time he has his like raspy, snarly delivery that kind of lurks somewhere between like a punk kid doing this the entire time while he's yelling, but at the same time he's also got like a bit of a heavy metal vibrato, and he likes to still hit those higher notes every now and then. Fever's a really interesting track on here. The more clean like singing and sort of the weird kind of spacey vibe, but it's also got like some sitar guitar effects. But I like the dynamic of these softer verses to the balls out heavy chorus on it. It kind of sounds vaguely similar to Queensryche's Jet City Woman. Like, it just kind of has that vibe. Granted, it's full of all the piss and vinegar that you would expect from Overkill. It has that interesting dynamic to it. And there are some songs that I wouldn't necessarily say are completely off of the Overkill grid in terms of their like influences and stuff that they do. But they do pepper in like some very different tracks here and there. Won't Be Coming Back is almost kind of like major chord driven.
Yeah.
It's kind of a happier song. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're still pissed off, but it's got a lot of classic heavy metal nods to it. But the real wild part is towards the bridge, there is what I would call a Rush breakdown.
Yeah, it's this weird like Spirit of Radio type vibe from Rush, where it's this like bass and guitar little just doodle kind of just sandwiched right in the middle, because they, even when they had drums on top of it, they change it up a little bit, so it's not exactly that, but it's just, it threw me off.
Yeah, it was a really interesting moment. But when they get outside of like, kind of the weirder moments, like generally the gear they like to go to is a lot of like Black Sabbath or like kind of like doomy stuff, like, Trouble, or maybe like a little bit of Candlemass, but you have Doomy sections that pop up in the title track, the Surgeon, which is for the most part just a thrashy balls out banger, but it has this kind of like little Doomy breakdown on it, which adds like this hefty little groove to it, and it's again a little bit more dark and sinister. But Wicked Place is probably one that really stood out because not only is it kind of doomy, especially in the chorus, which is just, again, like very much like a Trouble song. It's also kind of bluesy. And, bluesy songs aren't completely, just out of the ballpark in terms of like, oh, they never do shit like that. No, they do. But it's just kind of interesting to hear Blitz take on that sort of like bluesy, snarly approach, like bluesy Blitz. I don't know what else to call him there, but he's snarly. It's like, kind of like a bar band sort of like fucking fighting song, but then you get this kind of doomy chorus to it.
It's got a little bit of like crooning in it. It's just, I don't know, I figured 20 albums in, if you want to play around a little bit and try something out, try something out. One of the things I like about this is that they did just that. They tried it out. It's not like it was pasted all over the album. It was just something they wanted to throw in. I thought it brought just kind of a nice kind of relaxed swagger.
Yeah, and I think the overall vibe of this album is, again, like very loose, very fun. Like they just kind of wanted to write the songs that they were feeling at the moment, and I think they did a really good job. Like there's some songs here that are a little bit odd. Again, Won't Be Coming Back is sort of just a strange song in terms of how it's assembled. Like you get these, old school heavy metal bits, like, very much like Iron Maiden, but then this little Rush breakdown, and I don't know, just some very odd vocal phrasing in there. But Bag of Bones is probably one of the strangest ones in here. Because literally, if you were to tell me what like early 90s funk metal kind of sounded like, or like early 90s groove metal, this song would be an excellent example. And granted, Overkill flirted with the groove metal thing for a little while, but this has like sort of a weird kind of funky bounce to it.
Yeah, very bouncy, very syncopated between the drums and the guitar. Lyrics are goofy as hell, I'm gonna be honest.
They are.
But like, this is one of the songs where I think they had the most fun doing it. It just has kind of like a, okay.
You're right? Shaking a bag of bones.
Good times, hey. And that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it like kind of reminded me of like, we've talked about like Infectious Grooves, Living Color, and of course like Pantera, and there's definitely like some more nods to Pantera on here in terms of the groovier sections.
Yeah, Harder They Fall actually has, if you listen to it, it's the from A New Level. It's you can't escape it. It's in there.
It's there as soon as you brought it up. It's like, yep, that's pretty much the same progression there, albeit played faster and with like a little bit of like Dead Kennedys, sort of like, to kind of punk it up.
A little bit more of the Overkill flair.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole thing on this album. Like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a safe album because they do take some chances in terms of like, getting a little off the cuff. It isn't just straightforward like D-beat ragers across the board. I do think that towards the middle of the album, namely around, Wicked Place, Won't Be Coming Back, and Fever, they kind of lose a little bit of the thrashiness, and it kind of gets in this weird sort of like bluesy, doomy sort of pocket, which is still good. I just kind of wanted more of the, heightened aggression that I'm kind of used to from this band. But there's enough variety on here, and again, I will take a band that still sounds like they're having fun doing what they're doing, for as long as they've been doing it, over, like a band that is trying to experiment and not necessarily comfortable with it.
Yeah.
The experimentation that they've done on here, quote unquote, is stuff that they've definitely done in the past, but they're comfortable with it and they execute it well, and it still sounds fun, and it's just vicious and in your face. Like, somehow they still have pissed off fucking teenager energy, even though they're in their fucking 60s now. And I like it. Like, you can still fucking feed off of that, and I think that's kind of one of the main things on here. There are some songs that I don't think necessarily fit as well, but overall, this is just a fun fucking album. And generally that is what I sign up for with Overkill to begin with. Like, that's what I expect. I want it to be rowdy. I want it to be like the soundtrack of a fucking fight at a bar or a skate park or whatever.
Shopping mall.
A shopping mall, yeah. There you go. Old school shopping mall fight in the fucking 80s. Some of us have been there. Some of us didn't tell our moms. It's okay.
I mean, my mom doesn't necessarily know everything that happened during, from like age 15 to about 35.
I was still buying weed there at that mall, too. Sorry, Mom. Love you. Anyway.
Northtown or Woodville?
Southwick.
Really?
Yeah, that's
that would be a good place, I guess.
Southwick had
that had a bigger parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, after that nice little confession of, teenage delinquency, I'm going to go ahead and give this 3.5 stars. This is yet another solid Overkill album. These guys kind of just know what they're doing. I mean, they should. They have 20 albums now. But, my expectations for it were, well, honestly, kind of the same expectations I have for every Overkill album. Like, is it going to be fun? Is it going to be riffy? Is it going to be just, like, kind of rowdy and full of energy? And, yeah, no, they checked off all that. I do have, like, slight issues with, how the album flows because, again, there's this sort of, like, kind of dip in terms of the thrashiness, but it's still packed with killer riffs and, killer leads. Didn't even get a chance to bring that up. I like the lead variety on here. And, again, these guys still fucking doing it after all these years, still writing fucking bangers. This is still really enjoyable. So, yeah, if you're an Overkill fan, yeah, you probably already got this. Yeah. I totally get it. And if you're not, I don't think this is going to win you over. But, it's fucking awesome. Also, DD is one hell of a bassist. Fucking underrated as hell in terms of thrash metal. But, yeah, 3.5 stars. Good album.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4. I really, really dug this through and through. Even when you thought it kind of dipped a little bit in the middle, I thought they added enough variety and enough dynamic in that middle to make it still really great. 20 albums in and still having this flair and this excitement and this aggression. Very engaging, very fun to listen to. The riff work in here is solid. Once again, I'll say that Bittner plays an incredible role here. He does an incredible job. This is definitely the fit for his style of in-the-pocket, aggressive thrash drumming. It's got huge production. The bass was a little muffled to begin with, but it picks up right around the surgeon. In the song Scorched, that's the only time that the lead work is done without a guitar rhythm track behind it. Like, it's an isolated lead. Sounds kind of interesting. Reminds me kind of what Pantera would do when they had the chance to do it. But it was really cool otherwise. The lead work was great. The riff work was great. I like the dynamics. All the transitions flow really well. It's got buttery, smooth parts. I just had a good time. It's a fun, engaging listen. And especially when you're listening to thrash, you're supposed to have a good time. It's the fucking point.
Yeah.
And it shows a lot in these songs. I can tell that these guys just had a great time writing all this. You can definitely hear it. So, 4 for me. I thought it was pretty killer.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there, obviously, but so is our store. But we will be eventually reloading on that after we get back from Denver Death Fest.
Denver Death Fest, we're 5 days away, 3 days, 28 bands, April 20th through the 22nd. Come out and join us. We'll all be there running around. I'm sorry, walking. We don't run. Running is for people that run, and we're not those people. Anyway, we'll be there hanging out. Come join us. Come watch some killer bands. There is a ticket link down below. Saturday, 12 a.m. through Monday, 12 a.m. We're doing a flash sale, $12.50. The Blast Beat tickets. Blast Beat, Blast Off tickets. So if you want to get tickets at the very last moment, you can do it for $12.50 just on those 2 days, though. It's still $35 at the door. Anyway, come out. Thralls are going to be there, a bunch of sweet vendors. Thank you to our sponsors. I've been told that the sound is going to be absolutely fucking killer, and I trust the guy behind the board. So come out, Denver Death Fest. Fucking good times.
I can't wait to get back on a plane. It's going to be so much fucking fun.
I hate flying too. I really do. To know that I have to do it twice in the next week, we'll have done it 4 times in the
it sucked
last couple
every
days.
time.
Yep.
Anyway, also, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that shit. It means the world to us. It is cool seeing this channel grow, and we have a ton of cool stuff planned for it, but a lot of it will have to wait until after we're back from Denver. But yeah, possibly some new segments in the future, possibly some old segments coming back. And, I mean, definitely a lot of collection updates, because once again, I bought a shit ton of music
Dude,
again.
He bought like 100 fucking CDs. It's ridiculous.
It's insane, right? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, plenty of stuff coming. So, once again, thank you all so much, and we will catch you later.